Hello and welcome to the Monticello Minute Unscripted. I'm your host Keith Wallace and we are filming at the Advanced Printing Company right off the square in beautiful downtown Monticello. We're well into March now, and one thing about this time of year that I absolutely love is it means baseball is back. And today I'm proud to have as our guest the head baseball coach at the University of Arkansas at Monticello, Coach John Harvey. Welcome to the show, John.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
For people who may not know John, he's been here at UAM for about 15 years now. Done a fabulous job. I'm proud to not only call him a friend, but I'm also I'm an admirer of the work that he's done out here at UAM with the baseball program. And we're just going to chat a little bit about what's going on out there, and I'd like to start, for the viewers that may not know you, by talking a little bit about you. Can you tell me about your family and about the journey that brought you here to Monticello?
Absolutely. Well, originally I'm from Lufkin, Texas. I grew up in a little community outside of Lufkin, Hudson, Texas. Played high school ball there at 3A high school, which is a small school in Texas. Went to Lyon College out of high school in Batesville, Arkansas.
Batesville, yeah.
Played all 4 years there, met Jamie there, my wife. She played volleyball there for 4 years. We got there at the same time, left at the same time.
Y'all were both college athletes, huh?
Both college athletes, yeah. And we started out, my first job was at Itawamba Community College in Fulton, Mississippi.
Okay.
So about 20 minutes from Tupelo.
So you've covered Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi at this point.
That's right. The guy that I worked for there, the head coach, is now an assistant coach at University of Texas.
Really? Okay.
Worked for a really good head coach there, Chuck Box.
Okay.
Was there for a season, and then I moved on to be the graduate assistant at Henderson State in Arkadelphia. Was there for 2 years. Jamie was also in grad school there, and we got married the year that we went to Henderson.
Okay.
So I was there for 2 years as an assistant coach, and then was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. I was a head coach there at 25 for 6 years before moving here.
Wow.
And then
Quite the journey.
Yeah, 2010, got the job here, and that was 15 years ago. So.
And you know, speaking with you about that, when you're a coach, it's you move so much. You know, you're part of a coaching tree, I guess. You talked about your first coach and how he's the or assistant coach at Texas now, and how you moved around and moved up and eventually got a head coaching job. So that's what makes it even more special to me that you've been here with us for 15 years. Because when you came to Monticello, you never know what the situation is going to hold, especially for a coach. But I feel like this has become home to you. And if I'm not mistaken, you've got two boys that you've pretty much raised here.
That's right. When we first moved here, I think Brooks was 4 and Brock was 1.
Oh, wow.
So now, Brooks is a senior in high school.
He plays for the Billies.
Shortstop at the high school, and going to South Ark next year to play.
Nice.
And then Brock is a freshman at the high school. So yeah, once we moved here, you talked about moving around, and that's what you sign up for when you become a college baseball coach. So we did not anticipate being here for this long. But yeah, we've loved the town, and it's been a great place to raise our boys. And
well, I can attest that one thing that leads to a coach staying somewhere for a long time is the success they have, and you have had a great amount of success. If you go out to the field out at UAM and look in the right field area, there's a big green wall there. I like to call it the Green Monster because I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, but it's a big green wall, and on that wall there are a lot of banners hanging. And I would say all of them but one have been placed there since you've been the head coach. Can you tell us a little bit of the history of the last 15 years since you've been coaching here at UAM, some of the accomplishments that your teams have been able to pull off?
Well, when I first got here, I thought this was a place that you could win baseball games and potentially win championships. And it's one thing to think that, but it's another thing to see it happen. And it's been pretty special because the first couple of years, there was some growing that had to be done. And, of course, you want to get the right players in here, and that's the whole goal. That's where it starts. You get the right players that want to be here, the right type of guy, and 2014 was the first year that we made it to a regional. And then 2016, we won the conference tournament and went to another regional. We were a couple of wins away from going to the World Series that year.
And you were in the Gulf GAC conference.
GAC,
Great American Conference. American Conference. You've been in that conference the whole time you've been here?
My first year, we were in the Gulf South, 2011.
But for the last 14 years, including
Yes.
this one, it's been a Great American. Okay.
Yeah. And, the games that we've won now, the championships that we've won now, I don't think I personally wouldn't appreciate those as much without those first years of, the losses that we're there to learn from.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And of course, last year was such a magical season. I can't remember where y'all came in preseason, but I know how it ended. If I'm not mistaken, y'all were able to win the Great American Conference again, and then go on to the GAC tournament and win it, and then eventually went on to the NCAA.
Yes.
Tournament.
Yep. So going back a little bit, 17. We went to another regional. 18 and 19, we won the regular season and went to regionals. In 19 we did. So then we had COVID, and then we had a couple of years where we were just hovering around 500. So going into last year, I think we were picked to finish 7th in the conference. And we started out, pretty average. I mean, we were 17 and 17 at one point, and then we got hot down the stretch, played really well, and ended up winning the regional, going to a super regional, and getting knocked off by Central Missouri in that super regional.
Quite a ride, though.
Yeah,
I tell you.
It was a fun season.
I enjoyed following the team, and for people who enjoy baseball like myself, that's how baseball goes a lot of times. You can have a lot of great talent, you can have a great team, you can have a great coach, but a lot of times it's just about getting hot. It's about getting confidence, starting to play together. Some balls bounce right, you get a few timely hits, and next thing you know, you're on a run. And it's so much fun for the players, for the coaches, for the fans, for everybody involved, just to kind of grab on and hang on for the ride. It's obviously tournament time is what everybody thinks about, but any given day with a baseball game, there's so much going on. I feel like a lot of people in this day and time try to make baseball this slow game that doesn't have any support. But to me, it's the total opposite. There's so much going on every second of the game. And of course, you're out there coaching. When your guys are up to bats, you're in the third base coaching box, and you're keeping them coached up, and you're letting umpires know what you think if they're not calling the game correctly. So there's a lot going on, and I think that another great thing being out here at UAM is that you can go to any game. It's free admission.
That's right.
And they've got some great facilities out there. Just in the time you've been here, there's been a lot of advances in the facilities and everything. I believe that recently this year, the baseball field finally got lights. Am I correct on that?
That's right. We have lights. We opened up, we played our first night game about a month ago. Had a really big crowd out for that, so it was awesome. And then we just had a weekend series with Arkansas Tech where we played under the lights.
Oh, I'm telling you. Let me tell you, I was there Sunday for the series finale of that Arkansas Tech series, and you'd won the first two on Saturday and was looking for the sweep. And it was a back and forth game. Arkansas Tech tried to make a little comeback and made it interesting, but right there at the bottom of the ninth, the Bo Weevils won it with a walk-off home run. That's pretty special.
That is. It's exciting. I'd prefer the first two games where you don't have to worry about them coming back.
That's right.
But the lights, it adds to the atmosphere for sure. And then the Sunday game, I heard that was partially your fault that you showed up and Arkansas Tech started to come back. But
I was sitting next to your wife, and she was there ahead of me. I got there around the fourth inning, and UAM was cruising. I think y'all were up 11-4 or something, and I sat down and started enjoying the game. And next thing you know, the Wonder Boys start tacking on runs, and we kind of stalled a little bit, and all of a sudden it's the ninth inning, it's tied. And I looked at Jamie and I was like, I guess this is my fault. And she did not argue. She agreed that it was my fault. So I exhaled greatly when they hit the walk-off home run, because that meant I was off the jinx.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make sure on this that the lights were due to were there because of Union Bank? Did they supply the money for those lights?
Union Bank was a big donor in the project.
Well, I noticed it's called Union Bank Park now.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
I think that was put into place when the lighting ceremony happened.
Yes,
so
they
I
were the
tied
major
two
donor
together.
in making the lights happen. Absolutely.
And of course, a lot of the upgrades to facilities are due to donations. And there, UAM Sports and UAM as a university has done several drives to help improvements on the facilities. I remember a few years ago, I think it was the Swing for the Fences fundraiser that got the nicer backstop in and some bleachers and some
dugouts,
buildings the dugouts and the bullpen areas and stuff.
Right.
And of course, local, I think the first platform out in left field was Barton's, I think, had donated the materials to that and stuff. So a lot of local businesses and local support goes into our university, which is, I think, works hand in hand with how much the university gives us back. There's such a great relationship with Monticello and UAM that I think a lot of people may not appreciate or may not even realize. But I'm a graduate of UAM. Never played any college sports, but I supported a lot. I went to a lot of baseball games, and I think it's a great atmosphere for our town, for people to bring their families to enjoy a high level of baseball. Your program is so impressive to me because of the high level that you demand from your players and get out of your players. Not only the job you do recruiting great young individuals to come be part of this team, but also coaching them and making them better to where they have success after baseball or after UAM. Where would you recommend if somebody wanted to donate to this program or wanted to give something to help the UAM baseball? Where would they go? Is it?
They can contact us or the administrative office.
Okay.
Or the athletic department office is what I'm trying to say. So that's Coach Jackson, who's done an amazing job as athletic director in raising money.
Of course, yeah.
And then Mark Jelks is assistant.
Mark,
there
great guy.
Used to be on staff with us. But yeah, the improvements that we've made are certainly not even possible without the community and the help from the community. And that's not just facilities. That's the things that we pride ourselves on, development and developing our players, and some of those tools that we use are also not possible without donations and things like that. So yeah, anything's always appreciated.
Of course, you can get your UAM baseball swag. You can go to the bookstore. You can order them from players. I know the players did a drive here earlier where they were selling caps and shirts and stuff, I believe.
Yeah, we have some stuff like that out available at the ballpark.
Perfect.
During games as well.
So definitely plenty of ways to support John Harvey and his program. Well, let's talk a little bit about this year's team. Tell us about how things are starting off. Obviously the hope and the goal is always to win a championship, so we know what the goal is. Yeah. And especially since last year was so successful, and I believe we brought back a lot of players from that team.
We did.
And I know you worked hard in the off-season recruiting and added some more key pieces. So kind of just give us a little rundown about our team this year and tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, totally different in the way that the expectations are much higher because of last year and all of the players that we have returning.
Yeah, came in voted, I think we were ranked 19th in the country.
We were, and picked to finish first in the conference along with, us, Tech, and Harding in the regular season last year, we were a three-way tie.
I remember
so we were first, second, and third this year. So expectations are much higher, and the players feel that.
A little bit of pressure.
Yeah, but we have 21 seniors.
That's nice to have.
So there's a lot of leadership there, but also a lot of pressure that they put upon themselves. But we started out the year fast. We were playing really well, and then we hit kind of a road stretch there where we went 2-6. But hopefully we've kind of figured things out.
Well, you started the season going to Houston, wasn't it?
That's right.
And played. It's not Minute Maid Park anymore. What is it now?
Dakin.
Okay, but it's where the Houston Astros play.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time you've been there. You've been there, this is the third time or fourth time?
I think it's the fourth.
Fourth time that UAM's been invited to go play at a professional ballpark to open the season, which I think is pretty special. In talking about your seniors, I do have my question. We're in an era now of transfer portal and transfers. You see it a lot more prevalently. Of your 21 seniors, are a lot of them 4-year boll weevils, or
we have a few that are 4- and 5-year a couple of those, and we have some junior college transfers
Okay.
that came in after COVID, so they had 3 years left. So
Nice.
a majority of our starters are those 3-year guys.
Okay.
And then we've had a couple 4-year transfers as well. So it's a pretty good mix.
Well, tell me about your staff. I know you've got a couple of assistants that help you. And I know one of them, at least I know for sure, is a UAM Boll Weevil alum that played for you for several years. Can you tell us a little bit about your staff?
And actually 3 of the 4 that we have were players for me in the past. So Craig Snook, he played, let's see, from 14 to 16. Then he was on our staff in 17.
Okay.
And then he went out and he coached junior college ball in Kansas and Texas,
Really?
Arizona.
Okay. So he's been out and about
He's been out and about and came back. Yeah,
All right.
so this is his second year.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then Reese Reading also played for us.
Yep,
He does
I
a
remember
great
him.
job. This is his second year as a coach, and he's well beyond his years as far as coaching goes. And then I'm sure who you were talking about was Mason Philly.
Of course, yeah.
So he assists with the pitchers.
He was quite the pitcher, I believe, when he was playing for us. So it's nice to have that type of experience on your staff, especially somebody from Monticello. So that's always a plus. And who's the fourth?
Jackson Imler. He's
Okay.
a first-year GA.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
And he played at Crowley's Ridge.
Yes, of course.
I always
yeah,
say
yeah.
whichever
I'm
one I
not
say
sure
is
which
probably
way to
the
pronounce
wrong
it
one.
either,
Yeah.
so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
And that's great. I always like to talk about the staff because as a coach, you still reference your mentor that coached you that's now assistant at Texas. And I think that's a lot of coaching is what they call the coaching tree. It's people who play under you and then coach under you, and then they go on to have their own careers and their own coaches. And I think that's pretty special. And I think that's one thing that athletics, a lot of time gets overlooked. Everybody just looks at the players. They look at who's on the field, but they don't see who's behind the scenes and what's growing and what's happening there. So that's a pretty special part of being a coach, I would think.
Right, and the results that I have, I feel like are because of the coaches that I've had. I had a high school coach for all 4 years. That's a Hall of Fame coach in Texas. Then I went to Lyon. He's still coaching. He's at Oklahoma Wesleyan. He just won his 900th game a couple weeks ago. And then Chuck Box at Itawamba.
Of course, yeah.
And then, Pete Southall at Henderson State. He was the guy that hired me there. It's another good one.
You never forget those mentors and those people. Baseball, obviously, is a collection of a lot of individuals, but you can only be successful as a team. And I think that is something that is a great, growing up, we didn't have as many youth sports as we have now. Baseball was it. And you learn so much from the game of baseball about how to be part of a team, how to pick up people and support each other. And it becomes a pretty tight-knit group when you play for a team, especially at the collegiate level. I'm sure, I'm still friends with a lot of guys that played for UAM when I was out there. And that's been over 20 years ago, and they're still very tight. They still, they were teammates, but they were more than teammates. And you learn so much. So I definitely want to thank you for the work you do, not only as a coach and not only for the university, but what you do for these young people and how you help mold them into what we need in today's society moving forward.
Well, I appreciate that. And,
can you tell us when the next home game is? When's the next home series? Next home series.
Okay, so we go to Weatherford, Oklahoma this weekend.
Okay.
That's our longest trip. It's longest trip this year. It's either there or Alva. So Weatherford this weekend. Winds are supposed to be up to 50 miles an hour, so it should be a fun weekend. But then we're back home the next weekend.
Okay.
And so that is March 21st, I believe.
Okay, March 21st. So if you want to check out John Harvey and his Boll Weevils, they'll be back in town for a series on March 21st. You know who you're playing?
I don't even know.
That's all right. Look at the schedule. You can look it up online.
One week at a time, right?
That's right. One game at a time, yeah. So once again, I want to thank our guest, Coach John Harvey, for coming in and telling us a little bit about the Boll Weevil baseball program and about himself. We'll be right back with our guest artist this week. We're going down to Main Street Art and going to visit with Stephen Coburn to talk about local artists and the local art scene here in Monticello. Thank you. All right, welcome back. We're on location at Main Street Art, just off the square in beautiful downtown Monticello. I'm here with our special featured artist this week, Mr. Stephen Coburn. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, and thanks for coming into the gallery.
Hey, it's a beautiful gallery.
Thank you.
For some of our viewers who may not have visited Main Street Art yet, you're definitely missing out. This is something that you want to check out. It's a great collection of local artists and the work they've done. Stephen is the proprietor of this establishment. He came up with this idea and put it together, and I think it's really added a lot of value to our town and our community. Stephen, if you could, for our viewers, just give us a little bit of background about your journey, of how you came to be in Monticello, how you came up with the idea of putting a gallery right here off the square.
All right, well, good. Well, I grew up here, grew up in Monticello, finished high school here in 77, and went off to college and had a career for 40 years.
Okay.
and retired, and we decided to come home, and so we moved back. My original plan was I was just going to open a photography studio.
Okay.
2 doors down where the posh hair salon is.
Okay.
Years ago, that was my aunt and uncle's jewelry store. It was called Ballard's Jewelry.
Really? Okay.
And that storefront was open, and I thought, well, how fun would it be to put a photography in the old jewelry store? But as we talked about that, ideas began to morph, and it just became clear that that space wasn't going to work for us.
Needed something larger, a little bit
needed
more
more
space.
space. I was a part, when I was living in Springdale,
Okay.
I was a part of a gallery in Rogers, Arkansas. And it was kind of a collaborative space. They did a lot of different things in addition to art. But one of the things that they did was they provided space for local painters and artists to have one-day shows.
Okay.
To show their work.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of photography shows. And so when we got here and began to think in a larger scale, I began to think, well, there's got to be local artists in Monticello and even the surrounding area. So I put an ad on Facebook. It was a 5-day ad, and it just said something about thinking about putting in an art gallery. Would there be local artists be interested? I ran it for 5 days and got 25,000 hits.
Wow, that's a lot.
In the 5 days. So I thought, well,
It's worth it. It's got the interest.
We've tapped a nerve of some sort, and so started kind of just talking to artists. We have 3 artists here that also work the gallery, and they're just outstanding. They do everything, and it's Erica and Frank and Sarah, and they just do great stuff. And so as we began to talk to artists, we had 3 or 4 that were interested, and next thing you know, we were getting ready to open, and we had I think we opened with 10.
Okay.
Right now there are 16 different local artists
In the gallery?
in the gallery. A couple of them are Monticello. They're native to Monticello, but they don't live here any
Gotcha.
longer.
Uh-huh.
But they're still connected to Monticello.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so a couple of the artists are not in the area, but there's 16. We have painters. We have people that do the pottery, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. We have some folks that do colored pen and pencil drawings that are just outstanding. Then I have some of my photography.
Well, that's what I was
in
going to
here as well.
say. Your original interest was photography because that's what you are, a photographer. But once you started tapping in, you realized that there was a lot of other mediums in this area that people like to use.
Yeah, it was just a lot more than just me putting some photos up.
Talk about Erica and you know she does pottery classes, I believe, that y'all have up here.
She does.
And Sarah, you know, I saw her when she was a senior out at UAM. I saw her senior show. Erica's too, and of course Frank Ferguson, who also helps. You know, he's been involved in the community for a long time. He taught me how to play saxophone when I was in high school.
He was the band director when I was in high school.
That's right.
And,
so there's a lot of different artists with a lot of different ideas and using different mediums to put their art out there. And it's all on display right here at Main Street Art.
Right.
And most of it, like you say, are people from this community. Even if they don't live here now, they were from here. And a lot of the art reflects that. I can look around this room and I can see where influences are that I know and I understand because I grew up here.
Right.
And I think that's pretty special. And I think people that haven't been in here, they need to walk in just to see the culture and to see the art that we've made right here in our community.
We do a variety of things. All the art obviously is here for people to come and see. Everything is for sale. The artists price their pieces themselves, and then if they sell something, there's a percentage that they get and a percentage that the gallery gets to kind of help with overhead and all of that. We've expanded more into the pottery. You have a few pieces here. A number of people are probably familiar with what we do on Friday night. Every Friday night from 5 to 7, you can come in, you can call and reserve a spot, or you can just walk in. And you come in and you go in the pottery room. We can take a look at that in a minute. You go in the pottery room, you pick out a piece, you pay $20, you paint it, and then we keep it, and Erica takes it and glazes it and fires it up in the kiln.
You got your kiln back there and everything?
We've got 2 back there. And then all the pieces that come out of the kiln, one of the things we tell folks, because a lot of folks make cups and bowls, everything out of the kiln is microwavable. They can put those pieces in the microwave, and it doesn't harm it.
It's not just for looks, it's for everyday use.
Yeah. So we started doing that on Friday nights, and then about a month ago, we developed the pottery room, and now people can just come in anytime the gallery's open and pick a piece, sit in there and paint it, and we'll take care of it.
I know y'all host a lot of things too. I've been in here before where there were a lot of elementary kids had been part of a class and had their artwork displayed that y'all have opened up and been really part of the community and really helped.
Yeah, there's a couple of things with kids that we do. One of the things we try to do a one-day art camp anytime they're out of school for like one day. If it's a teacher work day or President's Day and they're not in school, we know that the parents are still going to work and they may need a place for their kids to go. So on those days that they're out of school for a single day, we have art camps and different projects. We run a week-long summer art camp. It's always in June. We usually run about 25, 30, 35 kids. And then each day there's an art lesson where they're learning about a particular artist, and then say it's Van Gogh, and so they learn the history of Van Gogh. We show them some of Van Gogh's work, and then they create something that looks like Van Gogh.
And, off that style.
And so, every day it's a different artist, and we've done that for 2 summers now.
It definitely sounds like Main Street Art is something that can bring the community in and really help bring art to our little community. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about a few of Stephen's displays that he has, his own artwork that he has right here in the gallery. So stay tuned.
All right. Well, I want to take just a minute to tell you a little bit about 2 or 3 pieces of my photography. One of the things that's fun for me, I started doing photography 1976. I was the yearbook photographer for the high school, and then I didn't pick photography up again for probably 30 years. But it's always fun when I look at some of the photos that I've taken and remember, where I was and what was going on when I took the photo. First one I want to show you. This may be look familiar to some of you. This is the old church out at Selma. I drove out and took a picture there. This church means a lot to my family. When I was a little boy, 8, 9, 10 years old, we had all of our family reunions out at the Selma Church. A number of ancestors in my family helped start this church. This originally was a Baptist church, and then they sold it to the Methodists. And it's been closed for a number of years, but people still use it for weddings and different things like that. But this is just a spot that just kind of means something to me personally. This next one, this is a valley, and I don't know how well you can see it, but this is a valley just outside of Kingston, Arkansas. When I lived in Springdale and Rogers, of course, we hiked a lot and went over into the mountains, and Jane and I were headed out to a hike one morning, and when we came over this hill, this whole valley was frosted, and it was just, the whole valley was just covered in frost, and so we pulled over and then spent about 30 minutes taking photos, and hope you can kind of get an idea, but it really doesn't do justice because the whole rolling valley was just covered in frost. It's been about 4 years now, I guess, maybe 5. Went to New York in Manhattan for a few days and just walked around the city taking photos. And so one of them was this one right here. You can see this guy, he's on the little unicycle thing. And I was standing on the sidewalk and I had my camera just hanging down, and I saw this guy coming, and I didn't know if I could get the picture or not, so I just took the camera and went da-da-da-da-da-da, just to see what I got. And then when I started looking, this was the photo that I got. It's just another kind of a fun thing to remember. The other one is this one right here. This one I've talked a lot about. I was in New York, and I was taking some photos near Bryant Park in New York, and I was standing in front of, if you've been to New York, you've seen literally just hundreds of little souvenir and trinket shops that are everywhere, and these plastic figurines were sitting in the window. And people have looked at this photo and they often ask me, where are those statues? And I tell them, well, first of all, they're not statues. They're plastic figurines. They're only about this big. And I took the photo through the store window and then kind of blew it up to make it, look like some statues in a park or something. So that one's been kind of fun. That's been a kind of a fun conversation piece that I've taken. All of the other photos in here are just places that I've been, things that I've seen. Some of them are staged, some of them are not. But it's just fun. I mean, some of you that do photography, it's just fun, and you never know what you're going to see, and you never know how you're going to see it. And so the camera kind of becomes that interpreter for you. But anyway, that's a few pieces, just kind of a few pieces that are here.
That's great work. And it means so much more when you know the story behind the art.
Yeah.
Thank you again for being with us today.
You bet.
We appreciate it. And come in Main Street Art. Check out some of Stephen's work. Check out the rest of the artists. It's all here for you to see and here for you to enjoy.
We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 4. And if you want to reserve the gallery for parties or venues, we do that as well. You can just send us a Facebook message and we'll be glad to respond. Appreciate y'all coming by today.
Thank you. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Monticello Minute Unscripted. We're going to continue to be putting out episodes, so follow along. You can catch us obviously on the Advanced Monticellonian webpage and also on their Facebook page. So tune in and share. Also, coming up, the Advanced Monticello is about to release the Reflections. Be looking for that in your local publication. It's going to be a free publication, I believe. So you definitely don't want to miss that. A lot of good things about Monticello and Drew County. Next week, my scheduled guests are going to be Amanda Killingsworth, and our featured artist will be Ty Lloyd. So be sure to tune in. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a great week.